10 of the world's biggest poker players are here in Las Vegas to take down the Premier League poker title. They're joined by Italian online qualifier Giovanni Safina, who last time out won his way into the $1.5 million prize pool alongside poker's elite. And now, just one place remains in the main event, and 6 party poker pros hit the felt. This is the Party Poker Premier League 4, and tonight we fill that final space in our main event with one of the 6 Party Poker team pros.
The Party Poker pros are some of the very best players from around the world, and they all want a place in this year's Premier League lineup. Ian, the Razor Frazer, has an incredible record, winning back-to-back TV titles. He has played this event twice before, but is yet to be crowned Premier League champion.
This is like the back door again. Second bite of the cherry, the final. This is what it's all about. It's what I'm over here for. I'm really excited and looking forward to it.
Dragan Galic from Croatia has almost $1 million in tournament winnings. He heads up the European rankings and has a record number of cashes on the European Tour.
I have now my chance to come into the Premier League, to the final table, and I think I will take it, and I'm proud and very happy about that I play here against the big guys like Mr. Sexton and Frazer, and that's very nice to be here.
Bodo Sbrzesny shot to fame by winning bundles of cash at the Party Poker Big Game in 2009 when he made some massive bluffs against some of poker's biggest players.
I would feel really good if I could reach the main event, because I could mess with the other very good players, and of course I could win a lot of money. I will make a big party if I could win the whole final, but first of all I have to win this qualification round, and then we will see.
Felipe Ramos is an aggressive young professional poker player from Sao Paulo who had a final table appearance at the World Series of Poker in 2009.
Second place leaves with nothing, and third place gets 100K and the chance to play in this show against these big guys. So I'll fight with all my strength for sure.
The Frenchman Remy Biechel has over $840,000 in live tournament winnings. He's got the talent to impress.
I play my best poker, and I think I am not lucky, but I play good. And I finished to the second position with 33,100,000 chip, and I think it's okay for start the final table.
Mike Sexton is one of the world's most successful poker players. He's also an author, commentator, and promoter, and he is the newest inductee to the Poker Hall of Fame.
Well, I think it's going to play out today that I'm going to take down the title. That's how I honestly think it's going to play out, and I hope it does, because I'm really excited about getting that last seat into the Premier League and playing against those great players, because I think I can handle myself pretty well against all of them. So I'd love to get in there and have a shot to win some really mega bucks.
This is the lineup for the Party Poker Pros Final, but only one of these players can progress through to the main event. So far, the Party Poker pros have been battling it out in 3 heats to accumulate points, which are then translated into chips at the final table. It was a great start for Felipe Ramos, who celebrated his birthday in style when he beat Ian Frazer in Heat 1. In Match 2, it was Mike Sexton and Remy Biechel heads up, and the Frenchman went on to secure a win. In the last heat, Felipe made heads up again, helping guarantee him a big stack for the final, and Bodo Sbrzesny was crowned the winner of Heat 3. It was disappointment, though, for Sexton and Galic, who both suffered 2 very frustrating defeats. So after 3 heats, this is how the points add up. Each point translates to 10,000 in chips on this table. Ramos then start with 400,000. Galic, the short stack, only 200K. It is the Team Pro final table, and I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who's got Premier League poker in his blood. He's played all 3 seasons, Roland de Wolf. Now, Roland, there's some big-time players here. I mean, guys who have played big buy-in events, but they're excited about the buzz of the Premier League.
I think this is very exciting for them because it's not an event where they can just turn up and pay their buy-in. They have to qualify and they have to earn their right. And, you know, it's such a big thing if they can get in. So, you know, and only one of them is going to do it. So I think, yeah, of course they're going to be really pumped.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy gets through is going to have a great chance to win. But they're starting this final table with staggered chip counts, but it's low blinds. How's it going to play out?
I think the fact that it's low blinds compared to the stack, even the shorter stacks have a lot of play, so it's not going to make that much difference. The way it could make a difference is if people overcompensate. They think they have a lot of chips or they think they're short when actually they're not.
Have you got a favorite?
I like Mike Sexton. I think that he's got a lot of experience, even though he's coming in as the low stack. But I think that they're all capable of doing it. Just pick your favorite and watch it unfold.
It is winner take all, and all is a ticket to the Premier League.
And the cards are about to be in the air. Now, Roland, I mean, the dynamics here are fascinating because these guys have been playing together in 3 heats leading up to this, and Felipe Ramos has come out on top. They're gunning for him.
Well, I think that they're all smart enough to know that, you know, you can't just go after one person. And it's all going to be interesting to see the tactics because it's got to be a balance. You've got to make a balance here between getting yourself in a position to win and not getting knocked out. Because, you know, it's winner takes all. Hanging around isn't really the MO.
Dragan Galic has raised this up. Cold call from Ramos. It's a significant point because the heats they played leading up to this were, you know, shorter stack with 100,000 starting stack. Now there's basically 1.8 million on the table.
I think that, you know, especially the internet players, the younger guys will be able to adjust to this pretty well.
And is this consistent with what you know about Galic's game, sort of raising all kinds of hands? And
yeah, he's aggressive.
Do you think Ramos has got a plan here if he misses the turn?
I don't know that much about Ramos, but I know that he's had some decent results, and people don't just call with the 5-4 there to try and hit the wheel. They're obviously all going to try other things, you know, because there isn't the implied odds. There isn't the implied odds if you hit your card. What you do have is also the fact that the other player might be bluffing.
Funny little bet by Galic on the turn, 5,000 into 23. And now he's checked the river. Opportunity?
Well, the thing is, he can't really value bet the aces up because he's not really going to get called by many better hands. But then again, there aren't that many draws, so you have to really respect a bet from Ramos here because there aren't many draws out there. If it had been ace-9, 3 with hearts, you know, it's hard to put the guy on two low cards.
Right, and it was still rainbow on the turn. Basically, the only bluff there is that he's floated twice, right?
Yeah, I mean that's probably what's going through Galic's mind here.
Wow, and Ramos gets it through. I mean, it looked like Dragan was checking to call, and he's thought better of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because Dragan bet small, so that probably showed some weakness. And when you're betting, you know that you're showing weakness. It's harder to respect opponents' bets, but
chip leader has more, 420,000.
I can understand the laydown there from Galic because it didn't really look like he was repping any bluff.
Frazer cold calling with the ace-10. I mean, of the 3 options, how do you rank the call?
I don't mind it because you have some value. If you realize that your ace high has value on a lot of flops.
Continuation bet, no.
6,000.
Ian doesn't look very comfortable with his hand there. If you can try and pick up that live read from Ian, but he realised that his ace had value. Remy's not really trying to read him.
Yeah, I mean, check fold seems pretty logical.
But that is the sort of board where, you know, if you're the raiser, I think that you probably want to lead into that board.
Oh, you 3-bet with 7 use. You don't
That's
call.
it.
Yes, I remember. 3-bet with 7 use, you don't call.
Yeah, but that was more fun. That was for fun yesterday.
Yes, for funny.
This is proper work.
I think it's the same.
And the Premier League field this year is pretty darn awesome.
I mean, if you look at the guys who are there, you know, they're either people who have been at one time, you know, top players like Phil Helmuth, or you know, people who are right at the top of the game now like JC or Yevgeny.
Cool. Heads up.
think a lot of people are interested in seeing how Yevgeny Timoshenko plays, seeing all his cards. And look at this, Frazer just calling with the jacks pre-flop from the big blind. Is this trappy or is this pot control or?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, Bodo, you don't really want to be creating too big a pot with his hand at this stage. He thinks that he's good enough to play out, you know, after the flop. You know, this ace isn't going to scare him.
People perceive Bodo probably as more solid, right?
Check.
I think Bodo's got a lot of moves. I don't think he's that solid at all. But this is not the sort of board where the flush comes and the ace comes. You're not gonna bluff again. You'd think that the sixes are pretty good. Now Frazer will like that card.
Is it somewhere between a defensive bet or checking to call? I mean,
it's definitely checking to call, and he's checking to check behind.
You have 2 8s?
Nearly.
Sixes.
Jacks.
and Ian Frazer is a good reader of the game. And if there's one thing that Ian does well, he's files away information, and he is a real studier of people in the live game.
I think he just likes to be around poker players. He always turns up at these events. Autograph book in hand.
This is a really deep structure. I mean, with the short stack having 100 big blinds, it's, you know, it doesn't feel like a final table. And you're talking about people sort of under or overcompensating for that. I mean, you really could just go hog wild here, couldn't you?
Cool. Option.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, you could play every hand for a while in the first
I mean,
level.
you can play speculatively like it's an early level of a tournament. But you know, these guys, you have to remember that these aren't novices. They're not going to really stack off with you know, one pair kite hands, or you know, you'd think that they're good enough to get away from a lot of hands. But if you get prepared to throw your weight around and take people off hands, I think that would be better way of going for it.
Frazer limped here into the Sexton's big blind. He raised, and now it's gone check, bet, call on the flop. I mean, Frazer has hidden this ace well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Sexton basically drawing dead on the flop. Now he picks up a gut shot, but
15,000.
Wow. Now I'd like Ian to take his time here rather than just instant call.
Well, I mean, the problem, right, is not just this bet, but the river bet.
He's got to think that, like, if the board doesn't change, then you have to think what's he beating that Sexton's betting? He seems to think quite a lot.
Does Sexton?
Wow.
Wow. I was going to say, does he have the initiative to triple barrel? He doesn't need to now. Now he's just got a value bet. What do you think? Was he going to do it?
He was drawing dead on the flop, and now.
What a card!
30,000.
Talk about returning the favor.
Now Ian sort of the problem Ian has here is that that's a real bluff card for Sexton. If he was bluffing then, he's still bluffing now. So I know we say, well, you've got to think about the river bet, but I would have probably check folded whatever came with Ian's ace. Even if it comes a blank, I think that you're going to fold, and I think that he made a good laydown.
Wow. Strong stuff. Strong stuff from both players. Sexton taking the pot there on the river, and Frazer not being too curious.
Wow. Yeah, I think that was an impressive laydown. He thought about the hand. I think he thought about the hand in the same way that I did. That it just is Sexton triple barreling that spot, and I don't think he is that often.
A few chips back for Mike Sexton. Needed that card, and is really in this fray. And the only thing that is like this format, where it's a shootout, starting at 100 big blind short stack, is actually how the Premier League's going to play. But isn't there sort of an idea that because it's winner take all here, that maybe you should get out there and gamble a little bit early?
I think that there's definitely a case for like trying to build a stack, but then The opposite side is that actually a stack goes down in value because people aren't afraid, they're not trying to move up. So having that big stack doesn't have the same gravitas.
Cool. Heads up.
So in a way, that's a reason not to gamble too much.
Nice flop for Bodo, and Ramos has sort of a hidden double gutter.
Check.
You wouldn't be surprised to see Felipe check raising here, would you?
7,000.
Or do you like the check call better?
I mean, he's out of position, so I think that.
Cool.
I think that probably plays into the part of I like check calling. There it comes.
This pot could get very big now, couldn't it?
Well, the fact that it's a heart has probably like slowed. It's definitely slowed. Going to slow the action down. If it was a jack of spades, then I think that you really would see fireworks.
I mean, wow. I was going to say, but that's a pretty cagey check, isn't it? A real pot control sort of check, right?
It is.
Full house. Perfect card for Bodo. And as you said, it's going to be trouble for Ramos because how often would Bodo check a flush behind?
It doesn't look like a flush here at all.
If he raises, I mean, right?
If he raises it, I mean, it looks like a bow or a bluff. Could be trips. I mean, it's so difficult to get away here because you think a flush is out of the occasion, but Bodo would raise trips for value here. Trip sixes. Maybe raise with like an ace-6 or something like that.
I mean, just with Bodo knowing nothing about Felipe's hand, but what he's been given, how big should he be thinking of raising here? Should he get Tom Dwan greedy?
Yeah, I think 55 maybe. So another 40k, 30.
52,000 total.
Yeah.
Call.
Cool.
Quick call from Felipe.
Have your cards, please, gentlemen.
And wow, what a turn, what a river, and how big could that pot have been? Still pretty big.
2,000.
Bodo hitting when it counts. That's really going to level the scores.
Nice hand.
You know, average chips 300k, and Bodo in first position with not too many more.
I mean, if I bet the turn, maybe I have a problem.
Yeah, you're right.
Boys, I will give you a little advice. In case you're ever thinking about entering a speed poker tournament, don't do it. Save your money.
The prize tonight is to sit alongside the Premier League lineup and the stars of the game, including WSOP bracelet winners, EPT champions. They are the world's highest rollers and biggest cash game players. This is poker at its very best. Join us after the break when this final continues. Welcome back. Just before the break, Mike Sexton made a little dig at Bodo
poker championship where you got
about
30 seconds.
the speed at which he's
Telling you,
playing
well,
his
save your
hands,
money, don't enter
making
those
his
tournaments.
decisions.
It's just they'd be going too fast for him.
Raise to 5,000.
And that's irony, I believe.
So it's okay if we take the time?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Sure, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Raise here from Mike.
Cool.
It's okay.
Yep.
Bodo looks a bit shaken by
luck.
what Mike said. When Mike Sexton says something to you, he's a kind of a legend of poker.
Well, he's just gotten into he's the Poker Hall of Fame. I mean, he's, you know, it's like E.F. Hutton. When Mike Sexton talks, you have to listen. And this is the first, well, maybe not the first, but a three-way pot anyway. Open the door for Sexton here.
Check. Check.
Who's going to win this on the turn?
If an ace had come, probably Felipe.
What if it had come a queen?
Oh, right. No one will be winning it on the turn with a queen. I think that
11,000.
He's aggressive, Galic.
Oh.
It's total rubbish over there.
Oh.
Well, that's funny what Sexton said, and to me that's very symbolic of his game. He doesn't feel like he has to take every, you know, he avoids traps. He was pretty sure Dragan had nothing there, wasn't he? And yet didn't think it was worth it.
Well, this is a tournament as well, you know. So in a cash game, maybe you you can push those small edges, but you don't really need to. If you're wrong, then you know the risk reward isn't great.
And that's why Sexton's such a good survivor, right? I mean, I think there was one time when he had made the money more consecutive times in a World Series main event than anybody else.
Oh. Cool.
Raise from Mike, another cold call from Dragan. I wonder if Dragan's sort of shadowing Mike here, or if it's just hand related.
Cool. 3 players.
15 for the flop. Wow, a couple big hands out there. Jack and ace, the key cards.
Check. Check. Check.
Now that's the sort of board where I wouldn't mind seeing a continuation bet, but
5,000. 6,000. 6,000 is the bet.
Frazer just bangs the 3-outer.
Do you think there's an idea that, I mean, is Sexton sort of setting something up here by just raising and then not making the continuation bet because later on when the blinds are bigger he's going to get more respect? Is there that kind of idea?
Heads up.
I mean, I think that's just how he plays.
Check.
Okay.
Missed flush draw, and top pair is good enough.
Good end.
So far, Frazer's won a couple. Sexton has about the same where he started. What's your impression of the game so far, Roland?
I think it started out they're all playing in a kind of a way where I would have probably have advised them to play not too crazy,
Raise. 5,000.
not too tight, just you know, like boxers feeling each other out at the moment.
Oh.
I kind of feel like Remy is sort of, in some ways he's the odd man out. I mean,
How could I miss the party here?
he seems to be
Yeah, 4
picking
players.
his spots well and getting a lot of respect.
Yeah, I mean he's got the image of being a tighter player, so you can use that.
Check. Check.
Bodo's definitely hitting the deck so far.
Yeah.
11,000.
This one's going to get through because
Oh, look at Sexton. I mean, the bet wasn't big enough, and, you know, I guess he called for pot odds here, just the 3,000. This 2-pair, what's the best way for him to play this?
Oh.
well, I didn't see that Mike had flopped 2-pair. Silly me. I would play it fast. This is the hand you're going to go
Raise.
broke on. It's definitely in his range of flush draw. You know, there's also pair and straight draw possibilities, pair and flush draw possibilities.
Okay, Mike.
Wow, what a laydown that is.
Amazing laydown.
Oh.
And basically, Bodo's saying there, he doesn't think Mike is capable or likely to be raising there with ace-queen, ace-jack, that sort of hand.
I'm really excited to have an opportunity to get that last slot in the Premier League. I think my experience is far and away better than anybody else at the table that I'll be competing with, certainly in this qualifying tournament, and in fact, probably in the main event as well.
See if we can breathe more fire on me.
They probably think I'm an old geezer that's over the hill, you know? But I'm sure they all have respect for my game. Certainly, anybody that's in the Poker Hall of Fame, you got to have respect for that player.
2 steamers and the chip leader.
I don't take anything away from these young internet guys, let me tell you something. They're highly educated guys, they're smart, they're sharp, they love to play poker, and as we know, they're very aggressive, and that's a powerful tool when you're playing poker.
Mike, you're easily one of the biggest characters in poker. What do you think is the key ingredients to a Mike Sexton impersonation?
Well, if you're going to impersonate Mike Sexton, you've got to know how to say, "May all your cards be live and your pots be monsters."
Only been 15 hands, not that much chip movement, but these guys don't panic. Galic, oh, this could help get him off the bottom of the pack. Go, ace king.
6,000.
All the people already in, we don't appreciate how lucky we are just to not have to go through this process.
Wow, nice hand for Sexton here. How best to play it? Galic has raised a few.
Raise to 20,000 total.
And what is Galic going to think right now?
Well, there's so many things that could happen. Wow.
Because he's in position, he likes to
because
call
it's
more.
Mike re-raising out of position, he thinks that, like, he could be up against a huge hand. That's a bad flop for queens, you know. What that sort of hit Galic's range pretty hard if you think that he's calling with a lot of pairs and draws.
Cool.
Weird float. And
it's not a float. It's he's calling because he still thinks he has value with his hand. And now it's he's picked up the nut flush draw as well.
Check.
And there's not many hands Sexton can beat right now if Galic bets, right?
Check.
No, I think he might have laid down, but now it'll be interesting to see here. Wow.
Ouch.
Backdoor nut flush for Galic.
Wow, this deck's throwing up some stuff, isn't it?
The thing is, Mike's never betting here, and the way Galic has played it, it doesn't look like there's that many bluffs in his range, and there's definitely no value bets in his range that beat Sexton's queens. So maybe Sexton's going to lay this down.
Sort of be unusual to check the turn and bluff the river with Galic, right? I mean, if you're going to bluff, would it be more likely to bluff on the turn?
Yeah, for sure.
Then he got two barrels at it,
and it turns so ugly for Sexton.
What would Galic play this way besides the nut flush? Would he have played a set this way, possibly? Pair of jacks this way, possibly?
58,000.
He might well have played a set that way, actually. I mean, he probably wouldn't, but like, it's definitely possible that he just calls the flop, and then when the turn becomes like that, he hates it, so he checks, and now he thinks Sexton doesn't have the straight. It's still unlikely, though. He'd probably just be...
It's a big bet, 58,000, especially when you consider Sexton's stack.
Let's see what I can beat here now. Could I possibly beat here?
Cool.
He's called.
Ace six, ace king.
Mike sees the bad news. He just basically thought Dragan was bluffing. I think they got a history there, and he thought his hand's going to be good enough at the time.
And I mean, he was just going on basically total air, right? That the Dragan had something like complete total air.
One time the check was good for me.
I mean, that could be construed as a needle. And Galic, well in with 284K. I'm looking forward to this match. This is going to be awesome. There's going to be some good poker here tonight, isn't there?
And even Mike, it's still early. He's not out of it. Come back to where he started, basically.
Right.
And he knows not to panic as well.
I guess I'm lucky I didn't lose them all.
Still got 90 big blinds.
Cool.
He is lucky he didn't lose them all.
I'm sure you've played tournaments where you won, and at the end you never had 90 big blinds, right?
The beginning.
Check.
Felipe's raised here. Mike on the button.
7,000.
And this is the kind of bet where you hope for that. The biggest tournament Sexton's won sort of in the last couple of years, that World Series Tournament of Champions, which I think was like an 18-player, $2 million free roll. He beat Daniel Negreanu head up in a 7-hour heads-up match. You do get the feeling that each one of these six sort of lay awake in bed last night thinking to himself, this is my game plan, and I'm going to destroy them with it.
Yeah, I mean, they will have come here with a plan. It's a big prize as well.
Remy or
We don't always,
Just
all of
time.
the people already in, we don't appreciate how lucky we are just to not have to go through this process. It's a massive carrot at the end of this. It's a really big prize. Not just for the money, but for the chance to play and what it does for your career.
Re-raise.
Re-raise.
The ace king of spade. From 7, 8, 9 with 1 spade.
Well, Bodo's raised here, and Galic has already announced the re-raise. What do you see in this?
7, 8, 9, 10.
I think that Galic has seen Bodo raising in previous days with previous games with not so much that. Anyway, he's got the position, and this is pretty standard play from Galic.
And how trashy is Ace-Jack right now?
And he's coming on the back of winning a big pot, so maybe that dynamic thinks, he'd be happy just to settle that. But Bodo's been making big laydowns. Maybe he doesn't want to instantly lay down. He obviously don't want to play out of position.
I mean, Ace-Jack is kind of like a way ahead, way behind kind of hand right now, isn't it?
I mean, I don't agree with that. I think that it could be, it could also be Ace-Jack from, or it could be a coin flip. So no, I don't think that Dragan's range is that polarized.
Is Bodo going to have trouble in this hand if he misses the flop?
I think so.
Check.
Kind of a nice flop for Dragan.
$25,000.
Please call me. It's a big bet, actually, isn't it?
Fold.
Bodo hasn't really put a foot out of place so far. It's been pretty impressive. Like he's been correct every time. I mean,
yeah, we saw him in the World Open recently, where he made the final table, and he played fantastic there too, especially against Andy Black.
I feel confident with my both cards.
I mean, this is the first level, but I tell you, I've been impressed with each of the players so far today. I think everyone's playing well, everyone's making good decisions, everyone has come in with a game plan, and
I raise.
Raise.
It's pretty impressive.
5,000 total. Oh.
Galic just picking up the pace a little bit.
Oh.
Funny little call from Remy.
Cool. 3 players.
And the ace-king-queen flop, likely.
Check.
Oh,
Check.
they all flopped something. Remy flopped a gutter ball, Mike flopped a pair, and Galic flopped an open-ended.
Yeah, right now the 2 4s are good, but kind of look at this and you think that there's definitely going to be a card that hits everybody, but it's not necessarily true. It's not really true at all.
Check.
Wonder if Sexton's going to get to show this down.
Everyone's been showing weakness. I'd be surprised if Galic doesn't bet here. Yeah, like I thought, he's... I mean, the king is kind of a card that hits everyone.
Oh,
That's why I don't really like it. And people would have taken 3 cards, perhaps with the flush draw. So although...
Check this out. What is this about?
Raise.
Check that out.
38,000. Fold.
You can only do that if you've got a line on the way this guy plays, right? If you're Remy, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a side of Remy's game I haven't really seen before.
You must have forgot he was in there with us.
I think it's a sign of Remy's game nobody's ever seen before.
He re-raised me. He's a strong.
Look at the chip counts at the end of the first level. Remy Biechel, now the chip leader. He hasn't increased his chips that much, but done it in impressive fashion. Bodo's had a good first round. Ramos has dropped a few. And Sexton trailing right now, 195K. This action will continue after the break.
Welcome back. The final lineup for Season 4 of the Premier League is nearly determined. Just one spot remains, and 6 players from Team Party Poker are battling it out here at the M.
Welcome back. Roland DeWolf and I watching this one play out.
With a Tetley tea bag.
And blinds are just going to 2,000 and 4,000.
Fold. Raised to 10,000.
And Sexton is picking up the pace, feels like. I mean, is this sort of the aspect of the winner-take-all thing coming into play? He doesn't mind gambling?
Yeah, I mean, he can't afford to be let himself be in a situation where he's going to, you know, move up the money. That's not really a consideration at all.
Call.
So if you're Sexton right now, I mean, he's not that short, but the shorter stack, he's not going to be backing away from a race, you know, or kind of a flop, a good flop and that sort of thing.
I still think he can avoid it at this stage with the amount of big blinds that he has.
Ramos with the pair and the small blind. And a way better flop for Mike.
I mean, Ramos knows that this sort of flop does hit Mike's range pretty hard, but the continuation bet has such powerful power because, you know, under pairs are going to fold. He's going to fold out some worse aces as well. Like an ace-5 suited. Pocket fives and won't fold now.
Well, it was actually a lead-in from Ramos. He just called the raise before the flop. Is he's done with it now, right? Or does he still think that Mike might have ace-queen, ace-king?
I mean, it's pretty hard to back your judgment this hard. It's pretty hard just to carry on in the hand with just a pair of fours. Even if you think you have the best hand, you're just calling is going to be pretty difficult, and I think he's done with the hand now. He was trying to get Mike to fold any hand that missed the flop, but that was it.
Over, and Sexton just sort of putting a little gas in the old Chevy. About back to where he started tonight.
Is there steam in Brazil? Nah. There's steamers down there or not?
You seen that with him? Can you steam over there?
The 16 Pro members sort of span the globe. Dragan Galic, born in Germany but lives in Croatia. Bodo, of course, German as well, lives now in Australia. Felipe there from Brazil. Remy from a French-speaking nation.
We're on your case.
I think it changed the strategy.
Fold. Call.
Must have had a tool for moving yourself.
Ian Frazer, of course, born in Normandy, lives in Hull. No, I'm joking, of course. It's London born and bred, isn't it?
Check.
That was an Essex boy.
Check.
Bodo with the raise early, and Frazer with the call in the big blind. Frazer's checked twice with the tens here. Can't really check fold.
Call.
Imagining Bodo's done with this hand. But imagining what Bodo's going to do is a tough prospect.
$15,000.
Interesting sort of bet here by Frazer, isn't it? I mean, he kind of wants to get value out of if Bodo has a king, but he's not in love with this if he gets raised, is he?
I think that maybe he's betting smaller to try and induce a raise from Bodo as well. That might be part of the thing. I think if he does get raised, he's definitely calling.
Wow, that's pretty advanced stuff, right? Raise, bet because you
actually inducing a bluff is part of the idea?
Well, it's part that, part blocking bet, part feeler bet.
Wow, Bodo's gonna go for it.
I think he.
You think he might be misjudging Frazer right now?
No, I think he's thinking about it, but he might just give up. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I expect you on King Queen or Queen Jack, but I like your bet.
Fold.
My friend.
Well, he got close. He was thinking about it, I think. His judgment was sound.
Think I had
there,
nothing.
as was yours,
Here.
Roland.
Small blind, please.
Frazer's a bit harder nut to crack than sometimes people realize. He
Fold.
does thrive in this environment, Ian.
The thing
Frazer.
about Ian is that although inside the UK he doesn't,
10,000.
you know, people can be disparaging about Frazer. You know, they think, you know, he's only just done it in one format and he's not really a top player. But although they speak about him like that inside the UK, in Europe and the rest of the world, they don't speak about him like that because they don't know who he is.
Remember the help, please.
And the truth is that, I mean, he somehow always seems to get there at the table. You know, this format, Roland, he has piled up the results. I mean, he's not the kind of guy who ever gets knocked out early in these.
The Dragon flashes his towel once again.
See if we can breathe more fire on me. You burned me last time.
I played against the whole table, not against you.
These two now, pretty serious history, and the way they're talking, you can imagine that it's been history for the last couple of matches as well. As you pointed out, Roland, that call by Sexton obviously was based on a lot more than that one hand.
Check.
Check. Check.
I check.
Check. Check.
Hope you don't have ace queen.
No, I have open and up.
And 6 checks.
don't
Definitely
play.
a sign that Galic, I mean,
You're good. I'm not good.
with Sexton making that call before, Roland, I guess one of the things he said is don't try and bluff me, and Galic just said, you know what,
I have a nice
okay.
set in the flop.
Yeah, you did.
I'm good. I can play.
When you've bluffed someone before,
You did have.
then it's harder to
can
bluff
bet.
the next time. But when you get paid off by someone in a big pot, then it makes it easier to bluff because they think they don't want to pay you off again.
That's the rock, paper, scissors of this game. You're good at it. The leaderboard right now, Remy Biechel still the chip leader, but it's very tight. It's tightened up. I mean, average chips, 300K Roland. So, gosh, you'd have to call it wide open, wouldn't you? Squeezing in the cards here.
Fold.
Casino
Fold.
starting to pop. You can hear in the background this M Casino in South Las Vegas.
Raised to 10,000.
Sexton, you know, he's probably looking down at the stack right now and feeling pretty good. I mean, he's kind of been in the muck and mire since this started and still has the chips he began with. He's probably had the most playable starting cards of any of the 6.
Fold.
And
I call.
Call.
Dragan, he seems to be very comfortable playing flops against Mike, but in no great hurry to be getting a lot of money in pre-flop.
The thing about Dragan that I'm worried about is that he doesn't really have a plan B. You know, he plays one way, and if it works out, then he's going to win. But he doesn't really have a plan B. All the others, I think, maybe have more of a plan B. Wow.
This is playing
Check.
tornado, isn't it?
I mean, this is an unbelievable flop. If you were to search through the deck, you'd give Mike top pair with a backdoor nut flush draw.
18,000.
Remy the open-ended straight draw and a flush draw, and Galic the open-ended to the top straight and a backdoor flush draw.
And because of the winner-take-all format, I mean, each one of these players Well, certainly Ramos and Galic has a reason to stack off here. I mean, with the bet and the call, does Ramos have a serious reason to put a raise in here?
Yeah, I think he does. There's a lot of money out there.
What are the odds if you're Ramos that you're up against another flush draw right now?
I think that there's so much to gain from raising in this pot. You fold out a lot of worse hands, a lot of, you know, pair straight draw hands.
I mean, calling feels like a bad play right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't like calling.
Raise.
Well, he's decided to stick the raise in, and you know, Sexton's going to look at this. I mean, he's not going to be mad about this hand, right?
Especially with Dragan having called behind, which does make the squeeze play from Ramos more likely. It's more likely that Ramos is doing this with no hand. Mike's definitely going to think about this.
Which option can he rule out? Is calling out or is raising here out?
I think they're both options.
Wow, because folding was certainly an option too, but Sexton putting the hammer down.
Raise.
Well, I think Dragan's going to fold.
1,000.
I'd be super surprised if he carries on.
Fold.
I think Ramos. So disgusting for Ramos this spot now.
Well, Ramos has asked for a count here. Has Mike stuck in a large enough percentage of his chips that he's committed with the rest?
Mike's pot committed now.
So this is straight read based from Sexton. He believes.
I didn't want to hear that.
Uh-oh. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow. They would have been about 50-50 if they raced, right?
I suppose Mike didn't think that he could be drawing dead at that point.
Wow, what an unusual play.
I mean, a lot of the online guys are never raised folding there. It's just bad timing, kind of a misread of the situation. But I also agree that, you know, calling is pretty ugly too. So maybe he was raising to find out, you know. He was in a difficult spot, that's for sure. It's just bad timing, kind of a misread of the situation. But I also agree that, you know, calling is pretty ugly too. So maybe he was raising to find out, you know, where his hand was if he thought Remy was on a bluff. He was in a difficult spot, that's for sure.
And he was in a spot where actually that hand that Ramos had, that was the only hand he was 50-50 against, and all the other parts of the range he was in terrible shape. I mean, is that right?
Yeah, it looks like a worse fold than it is, because so often he's going to be crushed there, or he's two pair or set.
But amazing. And Felipe Ramos, things just starting to go well for him. I think Sexton's gone limped here. And he must, his mind, obviously, he's very, very experienced, but his mind must still be lingering over that last pot.
Call.
Mad if you didn't.
Check.
Go 4 away for this flop. Amazing.
Check.
No 2. But for
Check.
Galic, a little second
Check.
pair that he might do this or that with.
$7,000.
Wouldn't you like to have known what was about to
Fold.
come on the turn and river that last hand?
Fold. Fold.
I'm pretty sure it was a straight flush. Ramos has regained the chip lead. I'm sort of understanding that he got a nice run of cards in the qualifiers leading up here. Aces about 8 times in the three matches. He must have had Frazer's seat
Fold.
by accident.
Fold. Fold.
Don't leave me alone with Remy XO.
I won't play with you, you Razor.
Call.
I can show with you.
That might actually be a better nickname for
Check.
Ian. Waza.
No bluffing.
Me? Perhaps. I don't say it. It's impossible for me for bluffing now.
I think actually one of the underrated parts of Frazer's game is sort of this infighting in the
4,000.
blinds. You know, he's got very sharp elbows and knees
You're
here.
my friend. Take my chip.
No, you'd speak up if you disagree.
Yeah, I've definitely seen him play. I've definitely seen him play some big pots in the blinds.
And ace 10.
Oh, ace 10, wow, nice.
He never gives up in those spots.
Happy luck you.
This competition's getting fierce.
They're all good guys, but they're not going to win, and that's it, basically. End of.
It's hard against you, Remy. If I bet, you push. If I raise, you push.
No one expected it to be easy, eh?
God, I thank you very much.
Beating the best in the best competition is what it's all about.
Welcome back to the Party Pros final table. Remy's off on a walkabout, and so the tournament director, Mad Marty Wilson, will fold his cards.
Fold.
Good at that, yeah.
They play two-man walking here.
Hey.
Yeah, call. Okay. Let's see the flop. I have to check.
Let's fold it around to the
Again.
blinds
Have to
here.
check again.
These guys are in a bit of a lull
Color,
period, I
the
think.
structure.
The structure.
I wonder if anyone's feeling
Your card.
like they haven't taken advantage of the
Spades, diamonds. I don't know.
early blind opportunities. They've all. You've been pretty impressed so far, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think people are playing pretty
Played
well.
great. Played good.
6,000.
Okay.
This pot's got some possibilities.
Call.
For sure, Bodo's top two pair.
And right now, he'll be thinking a five's a big part of.
Yeah, that's the problem for Galic, is that even if he hits, his hand's not very disguised. It's hard for him to get paid on that.
Okay.
15,000. Call.
Was that a time for Dragan to consider folding, or has he got so many outs he's thinking the Jackson out here?
Yeah,
It's
he
not.
thinks the Jackson out, but it's
Right.
not. He knows that if Bodo's checking here, he's more likely checking to check call. He does have some missed draws in his range, but he'll probably fire, so it means that Galic might check behind, and Bodo's much less likely to check because he thinks that the hands that Galic has in his hands that are made hands are going to call,
35,000.
which is why he's so much less likely to check. And if you could see Galic's cards here, you'd check raise, but
Right, and I mean, Dragon's, and that whole thing you said, Dragon's thinking because that's a card.
wow.
Oh, wow.
This is a big
Raise.
misstep.
And this is part of the whole idea, right? Dragon's thinking because it's a card that most of Bodo's hands he would
48,000
check with, it must be a misdraw, it must be a bluff.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Well, I think I thought the opposite, but clearly
88,000.
Galic thinks that. Now Bodo has to decide: does he move in for value, does he re-raise for value, or does he just call in case it is the cooler?
Would Galic have played? You know, what can Bodo beat that Galic raises for value?
It's quite a misstep by Galic when you look at the board. It's unlikely he just had a 3. I mean, he could have had a 3 in the blinds, but and just be calling down.
Not much more.
Galic is finished. So Dragon's line of reasoning is that it looks like to him that Bodo has sort of a missed flush draw or straight, same kind of hand he
Yeah.
has, and I think Bodo's a little too clever for that.
I mean, he's just not folding. That's
Right.
that's-
No, he's never. He's got the full house.
It's just, does he move all in? He probably just.
Sorry if it's look if it looks crazy now, but I call.
Call.
Huh? You take it.
I think so.
Fold.
Show it, show it, show it.
I have to show?
Yeah.
You have to show a winning hand.
Sorry for the slow roll,
the
but
call.
I had to decide if I raise or just call.
No slow rolling, you bet the river.
Nice hand.
I mean the slow roll with the call.
No, you bet the river.
Yeah, but
good hand.
you could think it's a slow roll, but I wanted to decide if I
Big
raise
hand,
or just
big
call.
hand.
Blind space.
Nice.
And Bodo, as you said, has done very well to even be able to induce a bluff there. Like if he checks on the river, he might not induce the bluff.
Yeah, I mean, he did pretty
Fold.
well there.
Fold.
He's playing pretty well,
Raise
isn't
to
he?
10,000.
Yeah, I think he's playing great. Galic, as I thought, was a bit too fast. You know, that this was a kind of like a card that keeps speeding through the checkpoints and getting there, but you know, it looked like that sort of
Call.
was an accident waiting to happen. But then it's winner takes all, so you can't really criticize too much.
Right.
Two steamers and the chip
Call.
leader.
I'm surprised Ramos
The 8-10 again.
calls off with the
Felipe.
10-5 here, but you
8-10,
know,
yeah,
using his
8-10.
chips maybe to flop some part of it and.
Well, Sexton said two steamers and a chip leader. That might be what Felipe's thinking. These guys are both going to be looking to get their chips in if I flop a big hand.
There he is. When you're hitting, I suppose. It's just Galic is becoming a bit of a train wreck here.
He certainly is.
13,000.
This is not advised, is it? And
All in.
Call, call.
Call. Fold.
Well, he can chop it with a 5. That's the good news.
no. That's the good news. The bad is he going to go for another barrel? After having gotten caught bluffing
No.
before.
He's shut down.
Certainly a lot of people would have just gone from bad to worse.
It's not really a card that you want to be firing off on, though. Maybe if it's more of a blank, you could fire because the guy might fold a 2 pair. But here, this has made a lot of full houses, and you're not getting really a straight to fold. And that,
This ponder by Galic is just sort of trying to reorient himself in space and time.
Call.
Oof. That was an odd call. That was a really opinionated call. Now it
yeah, I
wasn't-
mean, he maybe put him on like a queen 9 or something that made an open-ended with a 9. He didn't get there, but this guy is. I think he's known to be a little bit have a little bit of steam in him.
Well, Galic and Sexton definitely on the bottom end of things here, and when the blinds go up, and I think they're going up right now, 3 and 6,000. Every reason to assume, Roland, that they're going to get their chips in the next level. And the blinds up to 3 and 6,000 now.
6,000 a call.
Everything has gone swimmingly for Bodo. He was third in chips when they started. Second in chips now. Hasn't really had any major disasters to speak of. Felipe lost about half his stack and gained it right back.
17,000 total. Fold.
And decision time for Sexton.
I'm all in.
All in.
He didn't really waste too much time with that decision.
How much?
He knew he's ahead of the range of the button. Well ahead.
Has Remy sort of missed out here? Was this going to happen more often than that hand warranted?
I don't know. I think that Mike had to have a reasonable hand to push here. and Ian has to be careful with Mike behind him. So I think there can be some justification in trying to take the blinds.
86,000.
86.
86.
Jack 6 is a very weak hand.
69 more.
Basically, Mike's given him somewhere in the range of 6 to 4 odds, and you wouldn't expect Remy to raise fold with that price, would you?
With the Jack 6, I think you should. He's not going to call because he's right at the bottom end of the range. But Mike was aware of the odds that he didn't have that. I mean, he had fold equity, but he didn't have tons of it. But you know, for Remy, it's a third of his stack.
two flush, 2-time flush, and 2-time straight.
6,000.
2 flush are not max.
Okay.
I raise.
Galic, when you're short
Raise.
stacked, that really looks nice. Truth is, it's a pretty dog hand, isn't it, right now?
14,000.
But you already kind of feel that Dragan's the kind of player who says to himself, this is the way I got into this mess, and this is the way I'm getting out of it.
Yeah, he only really knows how to play the one way, and it's probably the best thing for him to do is to play in that style.
Peppy. All in.
Well,
All in.
Again.
very unlikely that Mike's kicker is a deuce. How unlikely? Pretty darn unlikely.
I don't even know if he pushes with the ace deuce
A
after
little
the
bit
raise
more,
in this
yes.
position.
Well, Galic is in trouble. Ace queen for Sexton.
Okay. Take it.
And Mike Sexton finding a couple of hands at the right time.
Yeah. And just a sort of a real indication.
I have a new system.
The 3-bet when you're when you got this kind of stack is so much more effective than the 2-bet.
Yeah, of course, it's
You can do that 10 times.
it's much harder for people to call a re-raise, and you're well ahead of their opening range. People know your opening range is a lot lighter as well.
6,000.
Galic, in fact, starting to suck a little wind down under 100K.
Raise to 17,000 total.
Mike, what's happened?
I will take a rest.
Oh, system finished.
Someone will call me in a minute. Then where will I be?
System finished. You done?
Then where will I be?
Just the last couple hands we've seen since they came back, it seemed like Remy has got an idea that this is a good level to step it up a little bit.
5 pots for win.
A steamed race.
You got some energy.
1.8 million in play. Roll into Ramos with a $500,000.
A lot of eggs.
6,000.
I said, give me everything that's steaming.
Raise to 15,000.
Wow.
What's going on?
How much is it at the moment?
A bit of a card rush.
Move in, we'll count it.
What kind of decision is this for Bodo?
120 more.
What's he worried about? The players behind him? The value of Mike's hand? Whether he can get Mike to fold?
Yeah, he's thinking of all these things. They're all the consideration.
Fold.
Wasn't a good
You
set.
just never know when someone's going to shut with something behind you. That's a big consideration. Plus, maybe his hand doesn't play well against Mike's range there.
Fold.
Oh, first time we've seen these. Speak of the devil, Roland. If he calls here, he's not calling.
Raise to 39,000 total.
Tricky spot for Mike Sexton.
And a call.
Mike maybe doesn't want to take a coin flip.
So Mike's idea right there, if the board comes low, he's going to be shoving.
Yeah, I think it comes low, he'll be shoving. Or if it comes like anything where he hits like a straight draw, that could be it.
Check it back.
Kind of like the board coming low because you're not really thinking about ace queen here, are you?
I mean,
Check.
ace queen's in the range.
Remy setting the trap.
So weird that you check there.
It's like he knows exactly what Mike has.
I mean, he's trying to represent ace king by checking. Mike might take the free card here.
I mean, with 84,000 out there.
He might try and get to a showdown here, Mike. If there's 84,000 out there, his stack's 96.
Gosh, I kind of feel like
Check.
Remy would have moved in with ace king, wouldn't he have? No?
It's kind of an odd check. Like, that might save Mike.
I hope you have ace king.
30,000.
I hope I lost my money.
And a fold.
The ace is no good for me.
I hope you had ace king.
No, the ace is no good for me.
You flop 3 queens then.
It's not. The ace is a
Otherwise,
bad
there's no
card
way you
for
can
me.
bet.
Very bad card.
I wonder what would have happened if Remy had shoved pre-flop.
Tricky king.
Guessing Sexton
You either had to
would
flop
have
3
passed.
queens or you had ace king.
But
No,
Biechel,
I
very
can bet.
tricky.
Big play. Big play.
I don't really like Mike's call of the re-raise pre-flop, you know. He doesn't have
Could
much,
possibly
like,
bet there.
he's not deep enough to try and get set value.
6,000 a call.
Maybe I saved my money by not moving in on the flop.
Hmm?
I saved my money by not moving in on the flop.
I have the same hand when I bust you yesterday.
Oh, the action.
Remember?
Oh, sorry.
7-8.
Oh, I think I'm sorry.
No, I had the hand to Mac. When he bust.
2 aces.
Ace was announced.
Yes.
Raise.
Surely Galic is willing to go all the way with these. Is that a
14,000.
limp?
Sorry,
No.
I don't see you. Yeah, it's okay. I think you folded. I don't see that.
I think Galic raised out of turn there, and Remy was Bodo was about to raise.
Oh, I had to save Bodo's of money.
Fold.
How much you pay?
And Remy has been all over Dragan Galic
Total
today.
80, 20, 40, 70, 80 more.
The math of this just might get him. He's going to stick him in
78
here, isn't
more.
Yeah, Biechel, you know, he's woken up with a strong hand, is ahead of Galic's range, and figures to be in front, so he's going to put Galic in,
Raise.
as I thought.
A bit of a cooler for Remy. Good
How
spot
much?
for Dragan.
33,000. Fold and fold.
I
Cool.
Wow.
Galic is giving himself the chance to not win this pot now. Maybe he figures like anything but an ace. 8 in the door. Wow.
It just didn't matter, did it?
All in.
I call.
And a call. All in and a
Just
call.
did. He's going to be sick.
Count them up, gentlemen.
He is going to be sick.
Oh. All right. I'll see you later.
You kick me out.
There's no coming back from this.
The worst card, my 9s again.
He played fast, he played loose, but there is only one winner tonight, Roland. And
The Sanremo was the same.
I think it's going to be Dragan Galic.
I lose every time the 9s.
Oh, 1 out! Wow. He doesn't realize
God,
it.
I thank
Wow.
you very much. I bless you.
Stick my foot in my mouth. Dragan.
Mike passed ace 9.
Wow.
Ace 9.
59?
That's great.
One time in my life I win the pocket 9. Come on.
Now that's a sign of
How is
destiny.
it possible that I win with 9s?
Flop come 8, 6,
I
3.
can't believe that.
All the money goes in. Wow.
I lose every time with pocket 9.
Come a queen, come a 9.
I win. It's the first time I win with pocket 9.
No,
Against me, you won the flip.
you win
In the first
last
SNG.
time.
Oh, I can't believe that. I can't believe that I win this hand.
The Dragon strikes again.
6,000, please.
Yeah, and he re-raised me with pocket 9.
Still a full table of 6. Dragan Galic shown the door and came back in the other side. Sexton now in a bit of a tough spot. Still 6-handed, but only one goes to the Premier League proper. More after this.
Welcome back to the final table of the Party Poker Pros Heat. We have 6 players left, but only 1 spot in the main event. So let's get cards back in the air.
Your chip leader right now, still 6, but Felipe Ramos, 510,000. He, along with Bodo Sbrzesny, they've gotten some big hands rolling, and they've played them well.
Yeah, Sbrzesny and Ramos have been the 2 standout players so far. I've also liked Remy and Biechel, Remy Biechel and May Ian Frazer's play. So
yeah, they've been a little short on the hands, but have managed to tread water. Nice spirit this is being played in. These guys have been hanging out with each other for the whole week, and they seem to enjoy each other's company.
So.
Like a world of poker here. I think there's 5 continents represented in this team pro. Two anyway.
No 7 deuce?
No,
Okay.
7 yes, but not the deuce.
7 yes, but not the deuce.
Not the deuce. I call. So you fold, right? I call. I fold, and if I have 7 deuce, I fold.
The long road back. The Dragons give me inspiration.
Yeah.
The Dragan, you crush.
2 hours
Crush,
stay
do
alive.
first
It
defense.
inspires my short stack, Dragon. Thank you.
Is that right? One time. No, it's yours.
About halfway through this 3rd level, which means that Sexton has the very real prospect of his 15 big blinds becoming about 9 in a round.
Raise. 14,000.
And Biechel had been making hay by coming over the top of Dragan before. Things are different now. Dragan's got some chips.
he's right back in it, the Dragan.
He feels it, doesn't he? There's something about, you know, he's got 200,000 and feels like he's favorite here. Any of the other players have 200,000, they feel like they're half stacked.
It's enough. Don't look at my chips.
6,000.
When a guy's like that, just won a big pot, got himself back in it, doubled up, obviously playing fast and aggressive. What do? You just leave him alone for a while?
It just depends on who it is, what your position on it is. But if someone's playing, you know, incorrectly, then you just try to exploit it in whatever way possible, whatever way comes up.
Okay.
If you're deep stacked, it's even better, you know. Because then you can really get them to stack off a lot of big blinds.
Cool. Option. Yes.
I don't know if Ian Frazer was trapping to call there with the ace deuce.
He loves this thing. I mean, he did it earlier too, doesn't he? Just sort of limping in small blind with the ace and
220.
getting to the turn.
Yeah. Raise.
That's not a big raise.
7,000 over 13.
What kind of look
He
is
played that pretty snappily though. He got the maximum.
Nice little min raise there.
So quiet all day, and all of a sudden you got somebody who's
Come
shouting.
on, give me a chance, buddy.
He's really good at playing those blinds.
Give 10,000 away because I collect them.
Okay.
I think Felipe Ramos has got a small problem in that you don't want to be the only Brazilian sports hero with 2 names. He should choose one of them.
They have the Formula 1 car, Felipe Massa.
Choice.
Formula 1 driver. Very big over there, but
I haven't thought of that.
I know where you're coming from, Jesse.
I prefer Ramos. I think it's
17,000.
I don't know.
One tilt, Remy.
And Biechel, he's now opening about 2-3 pots around.
How much is that, Remy, about?
It's 250.
That is about what it is.
240.
Any reason to flat call here?
Very. I don't think so. I mean, if you can get Remy to put in, if he has the jacks or another big pair, maybe you can get him, or an ace king or an ace queen. You're not really looking for a safe flop with aces. You can get yourself into trouble.
Right, and out of position especially.
Yeah, that's a big factor. With the position, it would be different, but here you have to play it like this.
Quick pass.
Yeah, I like the quick pass.
Good hand.
All going well. Ace, ace. All going as expected for Bodo Sbrzesny, who, to be honest, doesn't need hands that good to take this thing down. Well, the blind's starting to put pressure on the low stacks now, though. Galic, you can say he's moved out of danger. Over 200K. I mean, everybody's got their own sort of view on how to play these winner-take-all scenarios. But the fact is, would have never guessed we'd go this far and still have 6 players.
Okay, then I fold.
Fold.
Galic is chirping chips right now. $15,000 from Sexton.
That's not always the case, and that's not my opinion.
Well, here is the 3-bet, and obviously Remy is willing to gamble for Sexton's stack. Oh, that is all of Sexton's stack, excuse me. What's the price say? Price is no fun here, is it? He's kind of got himself in a tricky situation here, Mike, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's also got to factor in the fact that it could be a coin flip, but you know he's still got some fold equity.
Oh well, we got to gamble with something.
Wow.
All in.
He's not going to like this. Dominated.
I don't want to see that hand. I'd rather see an ace king.
He didn't really want to leave himself 66, but with 66 he still has a chance to make people fold.
I'm not hoping he had 210 maybe.
Well, Dragan Galic hit a 1-outer. Sexton now needs to hit a 3-ball.
No, Mike, you have to sit down and then you have, then you can win. That's the trick.
Not many things are going right tonight for Mike Sexton.
ladies,
A lot's
lucky
going
ladies in
wrong. This could be the start of something, though. Or the heart would be
An
bad.
ace would be the end of it. The heart doesn't make a difference
Put a 6 or a
because
deuce out there. I won't get greedy.
Well, that's
now
not a
for
bad
queen.
card, actually. The deuce and the 6.
Fair enough.
Now sort of split it. You're right, the heart's immaterial. 3 queens. 2 twos. Seis.
Okay. Good luck.
And
He's
Hall
gonna
of
be
Fame inductee out.
Wamboozled, I think Norman Chad would say.
All right, Dragan, good luck.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the first man out of our heat here for the pros is Mike Sexton, a man who didn't seem to have any luck through this entire tournament. Is that right?
Nah, it went pretty bad, actually. I probably could have got away from the last hand, but I only had 60,000 left, so I gambled the queen jack, and he had the ace jack, and I was out. But a couple hands earlier than that were key to me that cost me my money. But this wasn't meant to be this week, that's all. But we're going to try again some other time.
So just 5 now. And, I mean, how do you handicap it?
I pretty much handicap it by chips at the moment. I don't think there's that much to play. I think it's just what the chips are speaking.
Bodo, of course, sort of exploded into the poker world at a table with you in the big game a few years ago.
Yeah, who else was on that table that he was running over?
Barney
Boatman.
Boatman.
Do you subscribe to Barney Boatman's theory?
17,000 covered.
It's quite a funny theory, though. It's not.
Re-raise.
And, you know, Biechel has come over the top of Ramos. This now the 3rd or 4th time. Every time Ramos has passed. I mean, you got to shove here, right? You got to.
Re-raise.
This has been building.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of that sort of play for Ramos, and Biechel really has a decision now. Ramos's range is not that wide here. I mean, he's probably jacks plus, ace king plus. So he's probably, you know, not great against the range, but
If it's jacks a significant percentage of the time, then you got to call. Is that the idea?
Yeah, kind of. You've put in a lot. You're getting a decent prize. You're a huge favourite. I mean, you're a huge dog against a couple of hands.
How big? How big?
If he can find a read that he doesn't have aces, and then sometimes you can just know when people have aces, but if you can find a read that the guy doesn't have aces, either the way he put his chips in or the speed or just his general lack of comfort.
If I fold this card, all people say he's a crazy man.
Don't need to think about what people will say.
Obviously,
just do whatever is right for you.
Ace king? Ace king? Ace king? Huh? If I fold this hand, all the people say it's a crazy hand.
Okay. Count them chips anymore, there'll be more there.
You're gonna call? Just say okay, okay, let's go, something like that.
You want?
I want.
It's okay, fold.
I really want you to call.
You really want?
I think it's a call.
The last time I fold pocket kings and the guys he had pocket aces. Okay, I fold. I fold a very big hand.
Wow.
You can't be winning. You're gonna see on TV later. And you're gonna be proud of yourself.
No problem. No, I think. I don't think it's a.
That's that takes some guts. So Ramos quite happy with the way that turned out. He didn't want to have to flip there. And for Biechel, is 309,000 enough?
Yes, I think it is. He's still got 30 big blinds. It's a playable stack. Good fold? Maybe.
We'll be back for more after the break. Welcome back. The action here, five-handed now. That will change the dynamics a bit, but blinds up to 5 and 10,000. That's what should really change the dynamics. There's just no reason
I make a choice when I fold.
to sit back.
If you have
Got to get all the chips, or you're in the same spot as Mike Sexton
if I touch my
on
queen.
the rail.
I don't say touch. I'm not sure, but
Again, only a call.
I sort of wonder which of these guys is best at that
Hard to
strategy.
play if you know my range. But maybe I made a trap with aces.
now it's
Maybe.
not important.
You never know.
I fold.
Well, this is going to be a little tough. Galic with second pair, Bodo with top pair.
I like this
Okay.
because I like the team partypoker because
Maybe this time, this round, I will do it a little bit better.
I make a good fold or a bad fold. We make a bad fold.
And
it's not a problem because I make my decision.
from what we've seen,
If I make a good fold, I
Bodo
make a
has
bad fold because, it's a good fold.
played Galic very well.
But when
What do you like here?
good luck.
Check? The bet?
I'm not bad.
Deuce 4.
Probably like a check. The bet's quite exploitable.
It's difficult for my image.
But you can bet the top pair also. I mean, it's one of those ones you can, where either one is.
I fold. Fold card. And
I need one more spade. Okay, check.
I think it's Bodo.
Galic's going to see the river, and Bodo likely betting here.
Jan too, because Jan perhaps have 7 loose.
Yeah, I think Bodo will bet now for sure.
Me, if I have pocket win and you make the same move.
He knows.
On that heading before about the levels and levels, I mean, if Bodo does bet, what are the chances that Galic would bluff raise after what's been happening?
To turn his hand into a bluff is very unlikely because he has such good value at showdown.
But Bodo can be pretty confident that Galic doesn't want to do his tournament right now, bluffing him, right?
Well, Bodo, you know, Galic has got to be thinking like, what's Bodo betting? Is he having another stab at a pot that he can't win? Is he value betting a 4 with the jack kicker?
You can have ace king, it's possible.
Is it a total bluff?
kind of a tough decision here, isn't it? Feels tough.
Yeah, it's a decent chunk of chips as well.
It's difficult.
How good a river decision maker is Dragan Galic?
I'm not sure, but Bodo seems to be a player a little bit more experienced and quality than maybe Dragan has faced in the past. But if he can, you know, it wouldn't be a horrendous call. It just seems like a bad spot to be bluffing here for Bodo because he's not really representing anything. That's why you might be able to say it's a fold. Could be value betting worse.
And could be just on complete air, right? I mean, could have just complete airballed
Yeah,
it.
but it just would be such a poor bluff.
Because Bodo could, sorry, Dragan could show up with a jack here and never be folding.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of the draws hit, and it, you know, the bluff doesn't really make sense to represent anything.
I think he wants to fold, but he's really curious.
Oh, this is the guy who called with the ace-3 before, so.
That's true. What was it, a 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 board?
He made a good laydown there. They're playing.
Good, well done, Dragan. He's a good guy. He's had some unbelievable tournament results. He destroyed a lot of online tournaments. I think he's won the Sunday, one of these big tournaments on Sunday
This time.
multiple times. Now that a player's been knocked out, it's just a little more serious. And you know, there was a lot of joking going on. These guys used to playing for big money, but when it gets three-handed and this sort of thing, you're gonna feel the enormity of the situation. Well, as you said, Roland, it's not just the money; it's big money, but the exposure and the chance of the Premier League, the upside is really poker career changing.
I agree. I mean, these guys are all sponsored pros.
Raise. 30,000.
I mean, Ian Frazer knows he's been there twice.
Yeah. As you yourself know, being a sponsored pro these days doesn't usually involve a 10-year contract. It's tough. You got to keep the results coming. A lot of people. Unless you're Howard Lederer. Small blind, big blind.
Check.
And wow, Felipe's played this a little tricky.
36,000.
These guys are going to go loggerheads at this. Standard play here is just a call.
It's not a small flop bet.
Well, the blinds are so big that these things are going to really skyrocket, aren't they?
Check.
Check.
Interesting.
I mean, if Biechel bets big here, Ramos has a really tough call, right?
That 5 might not have been a good card. He might have been double barreling, but no.
Is that under the heading of what you usually say? Sometimes people hit and they think they have showdown value and they really don't.
Check.
Yeah, I mean, they have some, but not enough to stop them bluffing. Well, they should stop.
Check.
Well, you could say it's a nothing pot, but as far as table dynamics go, Ramos will extend his lead, and Remy Biechel kind of go in second tier now as far as the chip counts go. One thing about Galic, he is really trying to avoid getting to a spot where he has to just ship his stack in. I mean, He's out there with the 15 big blinds, making it look like he's just making it look like he's a day at the office, but he's working, he's grafting. And this is a tough table to graft at. I mean, how do you graft these guys? I have a feeling that Frazer is about to make his voice heard. Oh, look at that, he's staring at Ian, Frazer staring at him. It's gone very quiet on this table.
Raised to 25,000.
Something's about to happen.
Fold. Remy. Put it out, please. Thank you.
I don't know, does he have a good stack for a 3-bet here?
What does he have? 320? Yeah, he can 3-bet.
Make it about 75 or something?
Yeah, I don't mind it. You have to play the pot out of position. He has a good stack, but not really the position.
Gone for the call.
A call if you've got a plan is okay.
He hasn't played many pots. Oh, this is going to be trouble for Ian. Flush draw for Felipe. You know, the other side of the coin is Frazer's got a pretty big stack here that could do Felipe some damage.
35,000.
I mean, Ramos isn't going to be mad about this, is he? It's like one side of his brain is screaming one thing and one side screaming the other. What does he look like to you if you're Felipe? Does he look like a guy who's got a hand or who's thinking about bluffing?
Kind of looks like a guy who doesn't know what. I mean, it's not what, to me. He's not really giving off that much yet.
God, you just feel like, wow. He took his time with that one, Ian.
Ian's aware of the images and you know what he's been doing in the game. He's aware of all that. He's come up with a game plan here. I mean, he's been a bit card dead as well, which has kind of dictated where he's gone.
He's on from now.
When Bodo Sbrzesny, and you remember this role, when he first appeared on the televised poker scene, his hairstyle was pretty radical. He's gone a lot more conservative now.
His game and his hairstyle have changed at the same time.
At the same rate.
Coincidence?
Raised to
I don't think
24,000.
so. Well, they didn't say that about Samson.
What about Isaac Haxton?
Fold.
Big decision time here for Felipe. You know, Bodo is the other big stack.
Call.
Sensible?
I mean, you can raise here because Bodo's opening
A lot,
wider, you know, significantly wider than your range, but again, without the position,
Fold.
you might re-raise, but with a position, maybe not.
Call.
These are just
Launching into the pot odds here. You feel the 7, 8, 10?
it's just a weird spot for Frazer to finally peel one.
Check.
Now, Felipe...
Check.
Oh, this is going to be really odd. Now, what is Bodo's plan here? Why'd he check this? Is that,
I mean, it's partly pot
Raised
control
1,000. Fold.
to make people think, you know, deception.
are there very few reasons to check raise here? I mean...
Yeah, I think there's very few reasons to check raise. You're losing the worst hands by check raising. You're giving free cards, but it's not disaster.
Playing this very careful, and Felipe has to make a decision here. He's gone for pot control. Bodo now likely to get value on the river.
I mean, depending on, of course, what comes, you could get some value.
Check.
Sure.
I think you are too good. You wouldn't call a river bet anymore with like 6s, 7s or stuff.
He's pretty big on the speech after the hand, Bodo, isn't he?
I was hoping you were on air on the flop, and then maybe you try the river.
He's on air with a jack.
No, I think if he checks the turn, the check is not possible.
Of course. I think he just likes talking about hands, Bodo. A lot of these guys, that's sort of one of the features of this sort of the camaraderie of the team pros, is, you know, guys like Bodo and Felipe and Remy, they sit around and just talk about hands all the time. I love it.
Remind me not to go out for dinner.
Oh.
You know, I would describe Philip Ramos' play as, I decided on the word. Solid.
Oh.
He is solid. He is solid like Trevor Reardon solid. So, he is very solid, you're right.
Big FR.
Well, Frazer's been waiting for a spot. He always thought it was going to be against Remy, and he made that decision quick. Question is, what's the reaction going to be? It's almost like Bodo was expecting that to happen.
I mean, it is a button raise, and Ian has been very tight. It does sort of just smell a little bit, doesn't it?
It smells a little bit of he was waiting to do that, and it's not massive here.
I mean, it's a big time to find a shove here for Remy, but
it's the kind of hand you don't mind shoving with. I
it's
mean,
kind of, I don't mind shoving.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, I mean, you know, you're not in a horrible shape against
a lot of hands
that he'd call with. God, I think he's going to do it, Roland. I just look at him. I just think he's going to do it. I mean, think of what the guts, courage it'll take to do it. He's basically be putting his Premier League on the line here if he does it. Oh, you just knew it. And that was strong, wasn't it?
Very well played, yeah.
That was strong. And that's not solid. That's pretty special. Remy Biechel. He's only in 3rd place, but when you go back over the way he's played tonight, I mean, the only hand he's had is queens, and he passed him.
It's pretty scary.
Next time, we play out the Party Pros final table and see who becomes the last player in the Premier League, joining 10 of the best players in the world and our online qualifier. Coming up next time on Party Poker Premier League Poker 4.
I'm scared to play against Felipe.
Don't say that.
Aces cracker.
No one expected it to be easy, eh?